Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin, see kind of what's going on. Hopefully we can understand a little bit more about the near future because it's been up pretty decent over the last couple of days and it's kind of it's moving contrary to what we believe it will do. Oftentimes Bitcoin does that though, and we could see a reversal. So I'm just going to recommend you be very cautious and careful and try not to buy into the hype just yet. Still a little premature. But on the same accord, there are some indications that this is a nice little continuation. We'll take a look at that. If you're new to the channel, though, just know I love teaching people how to trade. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. And also know that, trading is not an exact science, but on the same accord, you can kind of help, increase the odds of success by using technical analysis. So that's kind of the point of this, is to sway things in your favor. I have a trading community if you want to, kind of learn about becoming a better trader. Also rolling out with a trading academy at the end of the month where I teach you specifically how to trade, every step of the way. And then of course, a new website platform for members near month end, likely early next month. Essentially, we're going to transition at the end of the month, but it's going to be an awesome, awesome situation when it's all said and done. So looking forward to that. Now, looking at Bitcoin here, let's go ahead and work our way down from the 1 week and kind of see what's going on, right? Not much has changed, honestly, since yesterday's video regarding the moving averages. Of course, those are slow. Weekly charts essentially is what it is, right? But the key takeaway here is that we need to see something over 44,000 by week end. I prefer 46,000 ultimately, but the bottom line is that the weekly chart is just kind of telling us that we're still in bearish sentiment. We're going to be there for a little while. Even if we have a very large candlestick, closing at the end of this week, we'll still be probably under 50 on the RSI. Okay, so just note that the general sentiment is still bearish on the long, the long term. That is more so the macro. Now, looking at the 1 day chart, we can kind of see the same thing. Yes, I know we've had 2 strong green days, right? Maybe about, actually, let's go ahead and take a look. How much percent is that? So in 2 days from bottom to top, it traveled 7.5%. That's pretty good. That's leading to a lot of 15 and 20% increases from altcoins, right? That are usually 2 to 3x. So that's awesome stuff, right? Stimulating the market, getting things back on track. But we have this thing that I would like to address, and it's commonly a problem, I would say. It was referred to as a death cross, where the 50-day simple moving average intersects with a 200-day simple moving average and essentially causes a downward push. Now, this isn't terrible, don't get me wrong. It's a 50-50 chance, or I think in my experience, I've noticed about 60% of the time, the price will digress versus increase in, contrary to that happening. So the best way to understand this, if you know anything about the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, where a moving average is intersecting with another in an upward fashion, kind of giving you that buy signal. This is the same scenario, only reverse, where it's giving us a sell signal, right? Again, we can't avoid that that's basically happening. And the likelihood of that coming to fruition, I would say in the next probably 2 trading days, I would say Friday will probably be when that happens. Okay, so again, odds are not in our favor there in that sense, just based on the simple sense that traditionally speaking, if you were to look back at previous death crosses, they've never really resulted very good, right? When we take a look at this here, that significant decrease occurred roughly the same time. Now, does the price just drop immediately as soon as those 2 prices intersect, or those 2 moving averages intersect? No, it doesn't exactly work that way. A lot of times there's a push to the downside before that actually occurs, and that is essentially what happens. So we could, again, see a sell-off tomorrow, quite possible, but on the same accord, it could happen on Friday too, which is notoriously a red day, considering we've had some green days here recently. So keep that in mind, right? Just want to kind of just draw your attention to that and help you understand that we do typically have, some type of reversal or a push to the downside when that happens. Okay. All right. So that's kind of essentially what we're looking at there on the 1 day. Again, RSI is under 50 as well. Equally as important to understand that until we get upwards of closer to about 46,000, in my personal opinion, we're not going to be considered bullish on Bitcoin. At least I won't be personally. That's the confirmation I need to look for, is to get a price that is essentially back higher than this previous major support level. Okay, it's new resistance. We could see some resistance when the price comes back up there. Anyways, just trying to drive the point home here that we are not in a perfect scenario. We got a lot of conflicting information. Look at this. The MACD essentially is telling us that we have a potential bullish convergence on the MACD, right? So unfortunately, it's hard to understand specifically what Bitcoin is going to do when we have this transition from a long-term, bearish sentiment to a short-term bullish sentiment, right? That there's that transition that happens. And the best way to identify it ultimately is to look at the 4-hour chart, because that's kind of the midterm, right? So let's go ahead and see what's going on here, because there are some positive factors as well. I want to draw your attention to the 50-day simple moving average. We can see this orange line here essentially reflecting the 50-day SMA working as a support level. Awesome. Okay, so the price is above that now. It's a good sign. Price is also above a key level resistance at 43,000, which it spent a long time underneath in the last 24 hours prior to today. So again, some good stuff there. We're above somewhat of a key level resistance, but we're still underneath another resistance at about 44,400. Okay, so the price is kind of getting rejected out there, so to speak. And ultimately, we are over 50 and under 70 on the RSI. This is a good midterm shift. It's basically telling us Bitcoin should be essentially on the the bullish side of things on the midterm, right? So we're transitioning from that bearish sentiment to the bullish sentiment. And you can also identify, of course, some higher lows and higher highs. Okay, so we've got some positive things going here, right? Bitcoin has that shift in momentum. We saw the same exact shift right back here in December, where the price kind of continued to make higher highs and higher lows. Yes, we hit that plateau of 51,000. The price came back down. But leading into that, we saw a lot of altcoins surging at that time. Very, very similar scenario here. So a couple of scenarios could happen. We could see a shelf where the price stops and gets stuck at about 44,400 and comes back down. Or we could see that death cross push the price action down further. There's a lot of different scenarios that could unfold. So honestly, at this point, really, I would say almost everybody is kind of guessing at this point. And, for me to kind of just, when you look at the data, you want to add up as much, positive and negative factors and kind of make a decision based on the odds, right? That's kind of what we're doing right now. So if, you're watching some other videos perhaps, and they're telling you definitively it's going to go one way or the other, I think that's more so speculation. On the same accord here, if we look just at the technical analysis, we can kind of identify that we've got some nice shift in momentum on the midterm, and that's going to be helpful to keep the price increasing. But again, that death cross is a pretty big deal, and we got to respect the fact that we want to see what happens with that first. Okay, so my recommendation generally is just a dollar cost average if possible into the altcoins that you're considering, but don't put your entire portfolio into play, right? Keep 50% of your total aside. Heaven forbid the price continues upwards, you can find some other stuff to invest in. It's better to miss an opportunity than it is to get wrecked on a current opportunity you think is worthwhile and it just turns right around. So just please understand that. That's kind of what I want you to kind of take home here today, is that you want to be careful with your investment and never put all of your eggs in one basket. Even if you're diversifying, don't take everything you have that you own and put it in there, right? It's a common beginner mistake. Trust me on this, when you learn to trade effectively in time, you'll realize that it's best to always have something there to rely on. Same thing with your life savings, right? You don't spend all of your savings on a fun, good time. You set money aside in case it rains and you have a rainy day fund. Keep your portfolio the same way, right? Anyways, just some friendly advice there. Regardless of that, looking at the 1 hour chart, let's go ahead and identify a couple of things. We're probably going to be well over the cloud here, which is great. We're above the cloud, conversion lines above the baseline, and the lagging span is free and clear of any price action. So truth be told here, the micro looks very good. We have very good higher highs and higher lows. We've got the Ishimoku cloud telling us we do not have necessarily a sell signal just yet. And of course, TD sequential is not going to be overextended. We just hit an 8, and now we're consolidating right at resistance or close to resistance. So a lot of good things here. And in fact, in most cases, you do see a break to the upside when you have this type of pattern that's trending towards a major key level resistance, which again, based on Fibonacci retracement, 44,400 is a resistance level. Okay. So again, micro looks good. Midterm looks good. Macro, not so much. All right, so if we were to add that all up, I would say we probably could, in fact, see a bit more continuation of the upside in the next coming days. But once that, that death cross comes into play, we should expect some type of correction. And also just bear in mind, Fridays are notoriously red days because the whales take their profits before they go and close shop over the weekend. Plus, things are more volatile during regular trading weeks, right? And almost always, even in traditional trading, you'll see Fridays as sell-off days because any kind of profits that were earned Monday through Friday in the traditional trading week are going to be closed on Friday to essentially, reduce the price by selling their positions. Okay. So again, just some combining factors you want to kind of consider. Can I tell you definitively which direction Bitcoin is going to head right now? Truth be told, I cannot, but it does feel like this is somewhat of a bull trap and we might see a dead cat soon, right? Just because it's done this so many times to us in the past. I just want you to be aware of that. That's why it's best to, I would say, invest maybe only half of your portfolio, leave the other half available in case something were to happen, and just be better safe than sorry. Trust me, you'll feel a lot better having money set aside and waking up tomorrow even to a green day, knowing you have something to work with, instead of waking up to a red day after you've invested every last penny. Okay? Again, just some friendly advice there. So this is, I guess, a public service announcement to invest accordingly, and that we don't truly know exactly where it's going to go, right? Just based on the technicals alone. Okay, we can take a deeper dive tomorrow and identify specifically what happens after we get a little bit more sideways action. But truth be told, the 1 hour and the 4 hour look pretty good. They really do. But again, I'm just really concerned with that death cross, so to speak, that's looming, as well as the fact that we're coming into a green week, which is very uncommon for Bitcoin lately. A lot of altcoins have pumped. Do you really think the whales are going to just let that slide? I don't know. I don't personally foresee that happening. So I'm going to be a little more cautious over the next 24 to 48 hours, and I hope you can do so as well. I hope you learned a thing or two here today. If you want more of a leg up in the industry, you want to become a better trader, I'm rolling out with the Trading Academy month end. I hope you can check that out in your own time. Of course, we're going to transition to a website away from Patreon as well. So I hope you have a good one. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.